This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new edition of On Deck. And welcome to Coast Entertainment Network. Having this show, we welcome you. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe on all of the platforms. And don't forget to give us our 5-star or 4-star, or even if you didn't like it, a 1-star rating on some of our shows on Facebook. Is that how it goes, Crispy Bacon? I forget. The star program?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so.
Whatever you do, like just put 5 stars. Yeah. Also, we have Big B is with us. How are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing good. Off of work, you guys are doing it tonight, so I'm glad to jump on the show. I started a long time ago, so you guys took over because of my work schedule, so I appreciate that. So always ready to talk some baseball.
I feel like I've made it worse, but we'll see how it goes.
No. There's another guy that could make it worse, but
he is not allowed to be on this program for sure. We wouldn't get through a program. So we're here to talk some baseball. It's On Deck. Actually, right now, we have a Sunday night game going on between the Dodgers and the Padres, the rubber game of the 3-game series in L.A. The Padres lead right now 6-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Shohei just got a single with nobody on, so the Dodgers are threatening. Of course, it is. We'll first get onto our team reports. And Chris, how are those Texas Rangers?
They started off really strong, and then I think mainly as any teams go, they lose a few games, but I think they pick back up the last 2 or 3 games. So far, they're in first place in the AL West, 8-3 right now. No, I'm sorry, 8-8, and even 8-8. But it seems like the standings look like it's a tight race.
Yeah, since we're talking about the AL West, I'll go to my team here. They're 7-8, right behind those Texas Rangers, and just a half game, which is weird. And guess what? Oakland is 7-9 right there. I believe they lost to Washington 2 out of 3 this weekend in Oakland. And we saw some horrible attendance at the Coliseum. Monday was 5,077. Saturday was about 300,000. No, wish it was 300,000. 3,000 something. And today was probably a mixture of both. But that was, of course, a big story last week, the A's moving to Sacramento. But the Angels, they got 1 out of 3 in Boston this weekend. You just knew it was going to happen. Starting pitching is a problem. The offense doesn't hit with runners in scoring position. Trout is kind of hot, but Taylor Ward is more, I believe. It's just unfortunate. The A's, excuse me. Somebody notified me they took 2 out of 3 in that series that nobody watched. But, before that, though, the Angels were home for the 2 opening series against first the Red Sox and then Tampa Bay. And I was at 2 out of 3 against Boston, and then the last game against Tampa Bay. And against Tampa Bay, they lost 1 out of 3. As well as against Boston, they lost 1 out of 3. So they did sweep the Marlins before that, and then lost 1 out of 3 to the Orioles in Baltimore. So there's a theme definitely when it comes to Angels baseball right now. After this, or this weekend, I should say, the Angels go to St. Pete to play those Tampa Bay Rays for 4 3-night games, 1 day game, and then 3 with Cincinnati. That should be crazy. Maybe they'll split against Tampa, get 1 out of 3 against Cincinnati. And then for the rest of the month, they play Baltimore, and that will be 3 teams already done for the Angels in the AL East already. I've never seen that before, where there's no divisional games at all for the Angels in their schedule. Then the Twins come to town as well, and the Phillies to end the month of April. So I'll be at some of these games for sure, I hope. We'll see what happens. Big B, how are those Minnesota Twins looking?
They're starting off slow. I know they swept a doubleheader yesterday. I think they lost today 4-3 or 4-2. They were playing Detroit. They're just not hitting. They're not hitting with runners in scoring positions. I think they started 0-31.
Ouch.
With runners in scoring position. They're getting battled with a lot of injuries. Royce Lewis got hurt game 1 after going 2 for 2. Correa just got put on the IR today. Buxton's actually healthy, playing out in the outfield, so that's good. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Pitching, we're so-and-so. I think when I looked yesterday, the Twins were batting 184, which was last in all of Major League. I think they've had like 8 or 9 home runs. The pitching doesn't look too bad, but when you're not getting run support, it looks awful. So typically Minnesota sports in general start off slow, or they start off hot and they taper off. So hopefully with baseball, they get into a little groove here, get healthy, and they start getting to where they're predicted to win the Central. I don't see it right now, but again, we're 12, 13 games into the season, so it's a long road ahead for them.
I can tell you what, though, that division, it's up for grabs, it seems like. I thought Minnesota would run away with it, but it's not like last year's team with the Twins, it seems like. Breaking down the standings, let's go through them real quick as we will go to the 9th inning, still 6-3 San Diego. In the American League, the Yankees are hot. They're starting off with a 12-4 record, leading the East. Boston 9-6. They've arrived, and they've rose up to second in the division. Boston 9-7, tied with Tampa Bay for third, and then fourth will be Toronto at 8-8. Cleveland off to a hot start at 10-5. And then also, speaking of hot starts, 10-6, the Royals. I'm really happy for their progress. I just hope it continues. I know they'll probably hit a slump sometime, but it just depends how you get out of that. Detroit's 9-6, and I think that's a really good story there as well. You would figure one of these days they'll probably get all that young talent together. Although Javi Baez, I don't know if you guys have seen his batting average, but it's way below the Mendoza line. His defense, though, hasn't taken a day off, so that's been really good. Minnesota, like you mentioned, Big B, 6-8 at the this point here. The White Sox are 2-13, and I think we all saw last place coming, but not 2 wins right now. They're just struggling. Like we mentioned in the AL West, the Rangers are 8-8, Angels are 7-8. The A's are 7-9, and then Seattle at 6-10, and Houston are 6-11, and they just have so many pitching injuries. Just wild how that division is going right now. In the NL National League, NL East, the Braves are 9-5. The Phillies are 8-8. They're climbing back up. And the Mets, do you remember when they were winless for a while? They're now 7-8. The Nationals are 6-9. I'm kind of happy for them. We thought they would be in last place, but Miami has really, really struggled this season. They're missing 4 pitchers in their starting rotation, and their offense doesn't hit for much. So they are 3-13 in last place. So that's going to be tough for them. Central, the Milwaukee Brewers have come out slugging. They're 10-4. The Pittsburgh Pirates are 11-5. That's a great story too. I always root for them. I always try to see if they can do well. I think I have them in our death wheel of death, I think it is, and they're surprising me. But guess what? I also have Miami and the White Sox. Yikes. The Cubs and Reds are 9-6, tied for third, and then the Cardinals are 7-9, hanging in there, and them Dodgers in the NL West 11-6. And then Arizona's 8-8. San Diego trying to get their 9th win. They're 8-9 right now. The Giants are 6-10. They're off to a sluggish start. I think that was expected. Blake Snell got shelled today by his former team, the Rays. I think for 6-7 runs. And then Colorado's 4-12. We kind of knew that was going to happen. So that's the standings there. Let's get to some topics.
We have a comment about a coach.
Yeah, for the White Sox, you figure this is going to happen with Pedro Grifol. He took over the White Sox last year, but this year they have a new GM, Chris Getz, for the White Sox, and I don't think he never really meshed with the players in the locker room last year, and the almost the same batch of players are there. But it's just a whole mess, and you see that they're in last place at whatever they were, 2-13. You just see that it's a mess in Chicago with the White Sox. The stadium isn't one to go to. There was talks, I think, in the offseason they were going to move to Nashville, and then they were supposed to get a new stadium somewhere in Chicago, somewhere right in downtown, but those talks have kind of stopped. But Pedro, yeah, that's probably the first manager to get fired. There's about 3 or 4 more, I think I counted, that could get fired. Look for Scott Service in Seattle. Big B, I don't think Rocco Baldelli is any, or his seat isn't hot. Do you think?
It's tough because Minnesota's, through their ownership, the Pohlads and now the Suns taking over, have always given their managers some leeway over what they've done in the past. Tom Kelly, 2 World Series, got to coach forever. Gardy, after that, went to some championship games and won some divisions and got Molitor again was another one. Baldelli, I mean, sports nowadays and the fans are just pushing this we need to win now type of thing. What have you done for me? So, to keep the fan interest, of course, the owners are going to do what they feel is best. And in the long run, it's one of those where it's just what are we going to do and stuff like that. So if it still stays like this, I mean, if we're talking, I mean, right now, no, he's not on the hot seat. Is it simmering? Yeah, it's simmering. But again, I mean, injuries play a lot into baseball, and right now some key players are out. But if we're still kind of batting 2-something and, we're kind of 3rd or 4th, maybe even last in the Central, I think then it gets turned up a little bit and we see where he goes. So, but, it would not shock me if we're talking about this a few months later and, he's prime candidate to get let go. So we'll see.
All right. I don't think we have to worry about our managers, Chris, with Bochy and Washington.
No.
Washington just starting, and then Bochy, of course, won a World Series last year. That would be shocking. But let's get to some series that happened over the weekend because there were some really good ones. Crispy Bacon, how did that Battle of Texas series go with the Rangers and the Astros?
I believe we won the second series. I think the first series we had a few days ago didn't work out. I think they took. Oh no, that first series split with Houston 2-2. And I think the second series, the Rangers won. So I guess overall, not bad.
And Big B, was there a series you looked at this weekend that stood out to you? I know there were some series like the Dodgers and Padres, the Pirates and Phillies.
Definitely the Dodgers and Padres are kind of sticking out. Just the fact that, of the names, and they always seem to have, decent series no matter how they play. I mean, there's definitely a battle that the fans like to see, seeing how Ohtani does, seeing what the Padres do, because, we do have a fellow Padre fans that someday hopefully he gets to lift the jinx and get to the World Series. But, I mean, outside of the watching the Twins, I mean, I do watch the Cubs a little bit when they're on. But, yeah, this weekend, definitely the Padres-Dodgers series, I think, is where everybody was watching.
Yeah, right now it's going to the bottom of the ninth at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers down 6-3. And for my pick, I guess for me, I saw the Cardinals and Diamondbacks. Cardinals in Arizona. Diamondbacks took 2 out of 3. They were kind of slumping, but I think they got on the right foot. They won the last 2 games of that 3-game series. Zach Gallen is still a beast for them. Remember, they made the World Series last year, lost to the Rangers, but I feel like they can get back, and they only got better this year. So I still expect Arizona to do well. They, shut out the Cardinals today. Gallen got the win, and they're back to 500. So maybe this is the plight for the Arizona Diamondbacks this week, I should say. So that news about Ohtani and Epi Masuhara, I finally wanted to get into this because there's so much to, unfold, and I think there's still more to, get. But nothing against Ohtani, though. This is all being put on the fall guy, allegedly, on Epi, the former translator who was fired by the Dodgers after, finding out that he made so many bets on games, but not MLB games. But the $4.5 million we thought was stolen from Ohtani's account has now risen to, I think, a $40 million gambling debts. And it's just amazing how Ohtani has kind of got exiled from all this. It's something just really doesn't seem right about it. But that's just the way it's put out there, and you don't want the MLB's golden boy to be in trouble or not play games. That loses money, of course. So when I heard this, guys, about the money total, and then Ohtani's not getting charged for anything right now, it's all on Epi pleading guilty toward everything. It just feels like it's a staying still on baseball because it involves Ohtani. I feel like the media really isn't getting into what Ohtani may have done or what they're hiding, I should say. But I'll start with Big B. Did you hear about this with Epi, the former translator Epi Masahara, pleading guilty to charges that he stole Ohtani's money out of his account, changed passwords back and forth? Do you think it's a big thing, or do you think it is do you think MLB is kind of withholding punishment on Shohei Ohtani because he is a Dodger, because he is what he is?
Well, they're definitely holding something back. I know when the story first broke, a week or actually a couple days into the new season. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Ohtani has to get banished from baseball. What's this going to do to Pete Rose if he gets caught that everything's a lie and he was behind it?" The translator came out right away and said that Ohtani's never been on baseball. That was his debt. Ohtani was just helping him out. it's tough because we're in in the middle ground here. What is Ohtani's fate? What is his how honest is he? Is he the one? Did he bet on baseball, or did his buddy say, "Hey, I got a great tip," or bet on? I should say baseball because I think it was showing that he wasn't, and his buddy just gave him some ideas and wanted to throw some money. I don't know. I think I'm still kind of surprised a little bit that Ohtani hasn't, sat out or got suspended for a little bit for being in there. Maybe that's why baseball hasn't done it yet because they don't know the full truth. So we'll see. I think this is going to be one of the things where, if it plays out longer, we don't have answers. I could kind of see Ohtani, maybe pulling a, hey, I'm going to retire, go away for a little bit, then maybe come back, aka Michael Jordan, because we've heard that scenario play out. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, I hope the best for Ohtani because he is the face of baseball. He's done a lot. He's got a lot of people wanting to play two positions and try to be the best Ohtani they can. So I guess we'll just see where it goes, and someday I think the truth will come out, and hopefully, it's for the best.
And by the way, the Padres just defeated the Dodgers 6-3. The Padres surprisingly take 2 out of 3. Chris, what was your thoughts on the whole thing about Shohei not getting in trouble, but his former interpreter pleading guilty to maybe taking money out of his account without Shohei knowing, even though that's Shohei's account? All this whole situation, I know we didn't really get to talk about it since it happened here on Deck, but what do you feel like? Do you think Ohtani, isn't getting punished? Do you think it's kind of an inside job?
Yeah, I don't know about inside job, but I think MLB is maybe holding back of punishing whoever it is, whether it be his interpreter or Ohtani. They're holding back on punishment to see what the full extent is, instead of going, well, you're going to be out a full year, but we don't know what the root cause is and all that. As far as maybe Ohtani giving him money for what he thought, was to help out, maybe they'll point the finger at Ohtani because he's kind of the, I wouldn't say fall guy, but like he helped out. He was part of it, even though he didn't know it.
I think we'll know more, but defense shield really on Ohtani. Again, I love that you mentioned maybe Epi is the fall guy on all this. I think the fortunate thing is that, hey, just for the good of the game, he never bet on MLB like Big B mentioned. I think it would have been a better story if he did, definitely. But it's good that he allegedly did not for now. And all we know is that he bet on other things, or Epi did, bet on other tremendously an amount of things. Some news, and this news just is awful for the Atlanta Braves. Spencer Strider will miss the rest of the 2024 season. He had a UCL procedure for his elbow, and he'll probably miss some of 2025 as well. It destroys that Braves rotation, and they already have some injuries and old arms as well. I just find it's a huge loss for the Braves. It stops their World Series chances, I think. Am I wrong, Chris? What do you think?
I think every injury kind of hurts your chances, but I guess the one silver lining, if you want to call it that, it's early in the season. There's a lot of time to make up some games, maybe maybe get some new players in to replace whoever's hurt. But it still hurts the team. But luckily, it's early enough in the season where maybe you can get some help.
How are you, Big B? Do you think Strider missing the season? Do you think this kills their World Series chances, or do you think they'll be just okay? They might make some moves. The offense might be too powerful to not really worry about that. Not having Strider. What do you think?
I think they're just going to be just fine. That team's young. I think we're going to see a lot of them down the road. Yeah, they'll probably make a move here or there to help them out. I mean, it's just too early to see, who could be buyers and sellers. That minor league, maybe they got somebody in the minors that they just want to give some more chances to. Maybe there's a free agent that they're going to look at here shortly and bring in and give them a workout. You just don't know right now. I don't think it hurts the chances. Yeah, he's the ace or number 2 guy, but that Braves team is phenomenal. They're going to be fun to watch all year. As long as they stay healthy and don't have any more injuries, especially in that starting rotation, because they don't have. I mean, they got some good starters, but you don't have the Maddox, the Smoltz, the Glavins, the Danny Nagels, the Steve Avery. I'm sorry, So, but they're making their own name. I'm not worried about them, especially if I'm a Braves fan. I wouldn't worry about this injury right now unless they can't find somebody to fill that spot.
You know what bothered me, and you hear about all the injuries, and we'll get to them for pitchers, is that we knew Strider had a great, forcing fastball. You knew he had a good other pitch, but he was working on a curveball this year. And then he has the elbow injury. I'm thinking to myself, man, if he never worked on that curveball, maybe he wouldn't have had this elbow injury, or they're just bound to happen. So that leads into our next topic of all the players, all the pitchers are out. Shane Bieber of the Guardians. You look at Verlander, who's making his way back. He was down, I think, at the Round Rock Express, I want to say, for the Rangers, the minor league affiliate. He was out there pitching. Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom will be back some point for the Rangers. You have Garrett Cole, who will miss. He's on the 60-day IL. And then Sandy Alcantara is also out, and that might be for the season. Lucas Giolito and Brandon Woodruff. Walker Buehler is trying to make his way back. Shane McClanahan for the Rays. Herman Marquez as well. Those two are both recovering from Tommy John surgeries. I'm looking at Justin Steele, the ace for the Cubs, and Senga for the Mets. They're both out as well. And don't forget, Shohei Ohtani had to get an elbow surgery after waiting a while, and that's why he's not pitching this season for the Dodgers. I'm trying to think the reasons why we have these injured pitchers and the amount of them. We have a 400% spike in surgeries for these pitchers ever since, I think, 2021. And there were 166 players who opened the season on the IL this year, and 132 of them were pitchers. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to figure out, maybe they're starting too quick.
I was thinking the same thing, yeah.
Because you know how they come in, they're the first ones to come through after February 20th or whenever it is. What do you guys think are the causes of this? Big B, because I was going to mention, kids, you knew growing up that you weren't allowed to throw a curveball. You were just allowed to throw a fastball, maybe a changeup, but just work on your location. Now you have kids growing up they're playing in travel ball all year long. Mm-hmm. They go into high school. And if you have these certain pitchers already in your repertoire, you're bound to get drafted really high. But then you're also a candidate for getting Tommy John surgery either in high school, college, or the pros. And we just never heard this growing up. So I'll ask you, Big B, what do you think are some of the causes why these pitchers are getting these elbow surgeries so soon in their careers?
Honestly, it could be. I hate to say training, and maybe that's a part of it. Maybe it's, like you said, what's the Braves pitcher trying to learn a new pitch? His arm's not used to that. Trying to throw faster, trying to throw harder. Like you said, we grew up. I'm maybe 10 years older than you, Chris. I'm, probably 20. So I watched baseball from the 80s through the 90s. I don't remember this many pitches going down. Nolan Ryan, all he did was throw gas. Every once in a while, might throw a changeup. You had Tim Wakefield, who threw a knuckleball. You had, Roger Clemens, stuff like that. Once they got older, of course, they got hurt. But the younger guys just seemed like they went out there. I think it might just be the way that they're set up in their day-to-day activities. If I recall, I think they would pitch one day the game, take a day or two off, then they would throw a bullpen session, take a couple days off before their next start. So I don't know, maybe if they're not doing the bullpen session or if they're maybe even throwing too much of the bullpen session. It's just, I don't know. Yes, the game has changed. Hey, maybe it is the ball. Maybe the ball is a little bit heavier than it used to be. I don't know. But yeah, it is kind of shocking that we're getting a lot of these injuries early on with a lot of these pitchers that are young that, back in the day we never saw this.
Don't they go through a lot of baseballs though throughout the season, like different kinds?
There's reports that they kind of changed the baseball up here and there. Especially when they see a lot of home runs, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we went back to the ball we used in 2000, whatever." Or if there's a lot of strikeouts, then they'll say, "Well, we tightened the laces on it." But I just don't know. Maybe one thing it could be is the analytics. We can't fault that either.
Before I go to Chris, there were some factors that I thought of and I've heard from players where they said, when how we have these searches now by the umpires to find, certain, liquid or certain things on the ball, coming from hats or from belts, pants, whatever it is. So they used to be able to use the, certain materials like sunscreen and whatever for grip. And Tyler Glasnow, the Dodger, had an interview and saying, because we don't have these certain things anymore, we're not allowed to use, we're having to hold a slipperier baseball, and then we don't have as much grip for it, and it could just go wherever. And then analytics, I'm happy you brought that up, because for me, I'm thinking to myself, I've never heard a sweeper before until like 2019. And then you have all these, analytical people saying, hey, we need you to have another pitch. We need you to have more movement on your pitches. We need you to be more devastating, or we need you to throw faster. Mm-hmm. And then if you have all those, all those pitches, you'll be happy about it if you're an analytical person. But for the pitcher, it hurts your elbow even more if you have a sweeper, because it acts like a slider, but it has so much more tilt on it. But again, not having that stuff you would be able to use, like the thumbtacks or whatever they used to use on the balls. I find it frustrating too, because the batter can use, all that pine tar to a certain point. They have that spray you put on the bat, I think for whatever reason. Chris, what do you think some of the factors are for all these pitcher injuries that we're having?
I'm sure it has to do a lot of it, mainly the analytics. I think, like you guys said, they want another pitching, a pitching arsenal, that they can use, and maybe it helps, maybe it hurts. I think it helps the team, but it hurts the pitcher in the long run, weakens him a little bit through his career. But I think it's a whole bunch of things.
And then I've heard people say, because of the analytics and all those things, that it's a copycat league. All these analytical people are looking for the same way of, playing the game, right? They're all looking for the guys who can hit the most home runs, the launch angle crap. They're all looking for the pitchers who can strike out the most, not who can ever get, the most guys out, like on, ground balls or something. They're looking for straight up strikeouts. And I think that's where we've gotten away from things where it's like, hey, don't look for that, base hit. Look for the home run. Or if you're a pitcher, look for that sexy strikeout instead of that ground ball to short or whatever. So that kind of hurts things. And then another stat I have is that 35.7% of all pitchers on MLB rosters at the end of last year had to undergo Tommy John surgery at one point in their lives. Think about that. Almost 30% of the pitchers in the league at the end of last year had to get Tommy John surgery. It's amazing what has gone on and how much force you put on your elbow with the different pitches you have, with the different arm angles. That's where all those different, pitches like the sweeper, slider, that's where there's a problem. And just doing this, I guess, is not normal to some doctors. For doing things, you just do this with your arm. You're never going over like this. So I guess that's an issue too.
And the thing is too, like you said, back in the day, throwing, we couldn't throw a curveball or anything. It was just either the fastest you could throw or a changeup, I guess you can call it, in Little League and stuff. And now they're teaching kids all that. They're having kids, get Tommy John surgery right away, because typically when they come back, they're always they say they're better. Their arm strength is, better and stuff like that. So some parents are like, oh yeah, let my kid have surgery now. And it's just like, really, you're going to put your kid through that? But I mean, when I pitched in high school many, many years ago, I tried, fastball, changeup, curveball were my three main pitches. Once in a while, I, in practice and stuff would, throw a junk ball, knuckleball, or whatever, stuff like that. But I mean, again, like you said, James, I mean, these kids in Little League are learning 6-7 pitches, and they're trying to use them all. We see them, in the Little League World Series using their pitches. So, yeah, it's definitely a different game, and I hope we can find answers sooner before we lose a lot of these young pitchers sooner than later.
Yeah, and then speaking of the young players, so you guys heard Jackson Holliday was called up by the Orioles last week. He got off to an 0-13 start at the plate and also had some defensive miscues. Fenway Park, where he was playing, you could have some breakdowns there, with the dimensions, especially about a pesky pole. But he finally got a hit today. The 20-year-old got a single. He helped the Orioles get a comeback from behind win 6-4 to avoid that sweep to Milwaukee. His father was there, Matt Holliday. That makes me feel old. But, all that pressure on the number one prospect like Jackson Holliday, and he finally got his hit. And there was some fake stories coming out saying, oh, they already DFA'd him. They want him to go down. I'll ask you, Chris, what can you tell a big leaguer who just came up that's only 20 and he's in a struggle right now? What can you tell him to make him, kind of settle down? What can you tell him? Because it looks like too he struggles with breaking balls. So change up, splitters. He hits the fastballs okay. But I was kind of shocked, actually, he was brought up this early. I thought they were going to keep him down as long as they can so they don't have to pay him or lose a service year. But, Chris, what would be your advice when you have a young player struggling at the plate and he's just trying to make it in the majors right away?
Yeah, just keep practicing and, figure out what you need to really improve on, kind of work on that a little bit more, relax a little. I know that's easier said than done, but relax a little, just play your style of baseball.
What about you, Big B? Because I know you've probably worked with kids on baseball, gone through it yourself. What do you tell someone at the highest level and then coming into the majors, just struggling at the start? What do you tell someone like that?
I mean, for what coaches have told me and what I would tell, my son who's struggling or teammates of his, or even, teammates I've had, just keep doing what you're doing. Those hits are going to drop. I mean, and especially, we as fans or us three, we don't know what it's like to play in front of, 20,000 people on a daily basis. You get called up there, you're in the big leagues. That's what you play for. So that nerves alone just have to be, nerve-wracking. Yes, he grew up in the dugouts where his dad played. I was watching his video or the video of them when they told him that he was called up, and so the kid looks calm, but I still got to say it just has to be nerve-wracking. So I would just definitely just tell him, just keep doing what you're doing. It's still baseball. It's what is it? It's Hoosiers. I think is a good example. Young school playing high school basketball. They make it to the state tournament. They play in I think it's Madison Square Garden. I think it is, and the coach. Oh God, I just lost his name.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah, Hackman. He measures the hoop and he measures the long. He measures, baseline to the foul line. He goes, "It's the same court we're playing on. Same measurements, guys. Don't let it bother you." And I think that's definitely one thing that young prospects, especially the number one person in your league or on your team, needs to know is just play the game. The games are still the same. Yes, the dimensions of the field might be different where the home runs are sitting, but it's still 90 feet to first, 90 feet to second, 90 feet to third, 90 feet back home. So I would just tell them to focus on that.
And you still have the pitch clock that you use in the minor league. So I mean,
I remember all the veteran players had a struggle with that at first last season, in spring training and at the start, especially Manny Machado. I think he got called out twice on it right away. But all these young players are coming up with it. And that's another factor. The Players Association came out saying, Tony Clark, the rep, saying like, hey, it's the pitch clock is the reason why these arm surgeries are happening because they're being rushed. And then they went and studied on it, and they find that there's no, correlation with that. And it's just another stain on, Tony Clark and the players rep. And again, like I always say in all these shows that we talk about MLB, it seems like we're going to have a stoppage that will prevent next year to play just because of the free agent issues that we had going into spring. Mm-hmm. And then we have the arm issues that the players would probably want to talk about. There's some other issues too, but I'm always worried about that where, I know we're good until 2026, the CBA, but I feel like there's going to be some type of stoppage. I just have that really bad feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could
no, I'm good.
No, I could definitely see where you said that you feel there's going to be a stoppage, especially injury-wise, especially salary cap. I mean, money is always a big issue, but We'll see. I mean, like you said, the negotiations, the CBA is good for another couple of years, but outside of that, yeah, we'll see. I don't see. I think baseball took a big hit during that strike year, and then the baseball stopped. So I think they're gonna plan a little bit better, and hopefully they can avoid that. Even recently when it was a stoppage of a month and a half, I think. So, but
the one thing too I want to mention, I think other teams are going to try to stop from ever happening again the way the Ohtani deferred contract was. I think they're going to try to prevent anything like that. The owners would, but the players don't want that. But it would maybe be an only one-time thing for Shohei Ohtani. I don't think anybody out there would be worth a deferred contract like that. You know, teams might want to be smarter with it, but they make the most money out of everyone, though.
You know, and honestly, I gotta say, you know, as much as I don't believe a player's worth as much as Ohtani or anybody got, that was a brilliant thing for the Dodgers and Ohtani. And I think if there was more teams that knew that he was thinking about doing that, there would have been more teams that were willing to offer the years and the dollar amount that he got if they knew that they're only going to have to pay him a couple mil until he retires.
The only thing I'm worried about is that you'll have those teams that don't make the most, you know, like the Marlins or the Pirates and Rockies or Rays or whomever. They'll say, hey, well, that's taken away from our profit sharing. Because, hey, if he was supposed to make, you know, $45 million each year on the contract or whatever it would have been, you know, some of that money goes to us, you know, that profit sharing, right? So that's where I'm wondering if anybody will ever be allowed to do that again. That's another stain on MLB this year. And then you have the gambling issue and the pitcher's arms. And then you have this issue, guys. The Oakland Athletics, and they don't want you to say Oakland anymore, by the way. They gave out a flyer the day they gave out a flyer the day that they announced that they were moving to Sacramento. They said, hey, try not to say anything Oakland. Don't wear anything Oakland at games if you ever go. I doubt anyone ever will. But they're like, hey, they took off all the rooted in Oakland signs at the Coliseum. They got rid of a lot of, you know, activities for kids and stuff at the Coliseum. But yeah, the Oakland A's or the Athletics.
California A's. There you go.
Yeah. They'll be moving to Sacramento at the
in 2025.
I think it's the AAA affiliate of the A's, I want to say. The River Cats, I believe. They're going to move to that stadium there and move out. Or I don't know. I think the AAA is going to still play there. But, yeah, the A's are moving to a minor league ballpark. It'll be 10,000 capacity. They might move it up to 14 and add some seats in. But it's going to be a 3-year venture there or more because that Las Vegas stadium they still have not broke ground on.
It would be sad. It'd be sad if they decided to move and then, you know, they do all this and they're like, well, we changed our mind.
Yeah. See, there's a lot of opposition from Vegas here, actually. Maybe that's why there hasn't been any, you know, ground shoveling yet. But yeah, they would have to take down a building, get rid of all that, and then start to build up the stadium. And none of that has happened yet. So they'll be at this minor league ballpark for 3 seasons, 25 through 27. And allegedly that new ballpark in Vegas will be around in 28. Allegedly. Or
2030. Who knows?
Yeah, there's Nashville, there's Salt Lake City, Portland, Orlando. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, but for sure, the A's after 50, since 1968, will finally leave Oakland after so many years of saying they will, but finally they will. Big B, what did you hear about the news about this and how the A's, a major league team, will be playing in a minor league ballpark in the upcoming years?
Well, we see it here and there throughout the transition for new stadiums and stuff. But like you said, Vegas hasn't even broke ground yet. It's going to be a 3-year playing at this facility. I could even see possibly maybe, and I hate to say that Oakland does it because I want to say, was it Detroit Lions played? Or no, it was the Saints when they had the Hurricanes and stuff. Played all their games on the road. Maybe they think about that. Maybe they would. MLB might rehash it after year one in the AAA affiliate place and just say, "Hey, Oakland, how about we let you play more games on the road, give you a little bit of extra cash?" Because that 10,000, 14,000 seat stadium ain't going to draw. Granted, they're playing less than that now in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
But
it won't be sold out.
I just think that I don't know what Vegas is thinking about. They want they're I would take Oakland in a heartbeat. Yeah, maybe not the owner, but but again, if I'm another city that's thinking about expanding, maybe you reach out to the owner and be like, what, if Vegas is kind of playing mind games with you, how about we work out a deal up here in Montreal or Utah or somewhere where we think we can. Nashville, I think, was another city I saw that wanted a baseball team. Let's work out deals around here and make Vegas shoulder hand or make a move, double down.
Put your chips all in, so to speak.
Yeah, it's going to suck. I mean, I grew up. Yeah, exactly. All in. There you go, Chris. I grew up liking Oakland. I mean, along with my twins, I like the Bash Brothers. I like Dave Stewart, Ricky Henderson, of course. So it's going to be hard for me to see when I look at the standings and not see the Oakland name on there. But it's just one of those weird things that nobody seems to want to go all in and show their hand. They want to play the little cat and mouse game.
Yeah, it'll be different in the standings next year. They'll probably put A's or A. They can't put ATL because that's Atlanta. So and they don't want to put Sacramento.
They'll do an homage to Prince. They'll do a symbol.
They should. Yeah.
They should just be called the California A's right now.
Yeah, see,
it's not like they're moving states. They're not moving states, so they can do that.
Right.
I think there's a certain Halo team that might still have that name, California.
I wish they would bring it back, but the player, the other teams in the state don't want them to be the California Angels. So I guess because they would say, "Oh, you're talking about taking over the whole state," but that the Angels aren't taking over anything. So,
but then what do you want the A's to be called? I mean,
just the Sacramento A's, Sacramento Athletics. I think that would be great. Because I mentioned that too, because the owner of the Sacramento Kings owns that minor league team. So maybe they could show MLB and say, hey, we can, run a baseball franchise here. We can have a major league team here. The only thing is, like we mentioned, it'd be 10,000, 14,000 capacity. You won't be getting what other people draw, so it's not a really good look. Now, unless you're filling up the place, 14,000 more each game, maybe MLB can look at Sacramento in the future as a destination, but I don't want ever another team moving in California.
So the one thing I was asking, maybe we talked about this on previous shows or another show that we do on here. Do you guys want them to keep the A's name when and if they move to Vegas, or when and if they move to another state or city?
Chris.
Probably.
I mean, personally, I don't.
Maybe for a short time until you figure something out, but not totally, no.
I would hate that because you already have the Raiders from Oakland and Las Vegas. And of course, you were never going to change that name because that's a global brand.
No, that's an iconic name. I mean, Athletics is a name too. I mean, yes, see people throwing out there, well, they could just go from the A's to the Aces. Well, WNBA.
I would love that. Oh,
I would like it too. Or, you name it after a card game. Las Vegas Hold'ems. So I kind of want to see them keep at least the A's logo, but maybe not be called Athletics. But again, I kind of just want them to leave that in Oakland. I mean, heck, here in Minnesota, I wish they would have kept the Stars here. The Lakers, when they left, kept the Lakers name. But we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, another thing to mention about this, the A's move, it's unfortunate for those true fans, and they've been hurt so many years. Now all three Oakland teams will be gone. The Warriors moved to San Francisco, Raiders to Vegas, and you just hope that they thrive in Vegas. People say, their payroll will go up eventually. I don't know if that would be the case. We'll have to see. The
payroll may go up, but it always depends on if the owner wants to spend.
Right.
It wouldn't be the same ownership.
Right. That's going to be a tricky thing, and already so many insults have been thrown at John Fisher, the owner, being so cheap in Oakland, and they'll say, you got to prove yourself in Vegas or else it's not going to matter. It's just unfortunate. I wish the name would be Aces, and I really want them to go to a darker green and a gold and a black. I think that would whatever the Aces did, just do those colors, but not red, but just add gold in your team. I think that would be amazing.
I think you could still do Aces because you got the San Francisco Giants, New York Giants.
I would love if, but I know copyright.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be worried about. Is you can't really take anybody's name anymore, or you can't have the same name. It was a thing with the St. Louis Cardinals football, basketball, New York Giants football and baseball, but that'd be awesome. But Chips, Las Vegas Chips, I don't know. Okay, one last topic, and it happened last Monday, but Hank Aaron's 7-15 home run happened 50 years on Monday, April 8th, 1973. And there was the anniversary last Monday. And for me, guys, I still think that's the home run record. I will never count, 7, whatever it is with Barry Bonds, when he passed Aaron at 755, at 756, whatever it is now, I will never count that as the home run record. When I think of the impact of that moment in Georgia that night, Vince Scully had the saying, he's happy it's over with for Aaron because he had so much pressure on it, being who he was, breaking, Babe Ruth's record. All that pressure on him, being in the Deep South, like Vin said, the moment the impact it happened, everybody knew about it. It was literally an American moment that is in everybody's, sports highlights, or at least it should. But it was that much of an impact. I'll go with you, Big B. I'm pretty sure you've seen it and heard it. What did you think when it happened, or when you first heard about it?
Well, that, just listening to the replay when they bring it up every year, just iconic, finally passing, get the monkey off your back. But then also, too, this is how much the game has changed. When he's running the bases, what do you got? You got 2-3 guys running up to him as he's running the bases, patting him on the back. And then I'm guessing they probably got carted off somewhere. But, today's game, let's say Barry Bonds did it or somebody breaks a record, a fan runs on the field, they're getting jumped right away. They're not even touching, the player, let alone trying to go a high five. But, just an iconic moment in sports. Again, I'm not going to get into a debate if I'm going to count it as a record because I think until a test comes that he used steroids, to me it is a home run record. I think he was on pace to come close. I don't think he might have broke it, but the steroids only helps you hit the ball harder. It doesn't give you the eye coordination. So again, I'm not going to get into the debate. You can definitely listen to who's a home run king, who's not. But again, with the monumental moment of that, to me, it's probably one of two iconic, well, maybe three iconic images or videos we'll always see. The Heron home run, the Cal Ripken breaking Lou Gehrig's streak, Nolan Ryan getting shoulder lifted after his seventh no-hitter, I think it was. And ironically, maybe the fourth one would be Nolan Ryan putting a couple fists into Ventura's face. So it might be the iconic moments in baseball. And again, too, let's not forget, tomorrow's Jackie Robinson Day, too, here in the MLB. So, give a shout-out to him, too.
Yeah, when you said those two guys came on the field, and I was thinking now it'd be total security. Back then, they didn't really care. And just the fact of who they were, maybe that they were going to try to hurt him or whatever. Unfortunately, they didn't. Rounding second, going to third. Yep. That's one image. I know it's like, oh, it's a great image, and oh no, maybe something will happen, but luckily nothing did. He's definitely an American hero, just like Jackie Robinson tomorrow. Again, the Keller barrier broken on April 15th, 1947. Chris, you have any words about Jackie Robinson or Hank Aaron on their record feats?
No, it's good to have players break records, and some people may think it hurts the sport, but or they shouldn't break the records, but I think it's an accomplishment that a lot of players want, depending on what sport they're in, to pass whoever the greatest was.
That's like I can remember on my birthday in 2002, not only the Angels winning the championship, but Emmitt Smith that morning broke the rushing record of Walter Payton. And
do you guys really got to bring up another former Viking move that helped the Dallas Cowboys out? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll always remember that day because I love Walter Payton. And even when I was a little kid, I would try to learn more about him. Yep. And I was kind of like pissed that Emmitt broke that record, and I learned more about Emmitt and all the other running backs. I was like, all right, I understand. But the main thing is, like, I mentioned Aaron, to me, still holds the record. There's people that still say, okay, Walter Payton is the best running back. And even Emmitt Smith said, when they asked him, like, who's the best running back ever, it's Walter Payton. Even though he broke his record. I know Barry Bonds has to maybe feel that way about Henry Aaron or Willie Mays, probably more.
Yeah. Well, again, too, I mean, you talk about other greats saying that so-and-so's a great. I mean, everybody talks to Jordan, who's the greatest basketball player all the time. And he won't say himself. He'll say the guys that came ahead of him. So, there's nothing wrong with not saying that you're the greatest, even though the fans think you are. So,
what I like about Jordan, lately he's been saying, like, oh, it comes down to errors, right? Like the errors of the time, of the years. It's like Jordan, his time was the best, Magic, and then Kareem, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. Now you have LeBron and Kobe, Tim Duncan. It just depends on the era and who you played against, I guess. It shouldn't be about trying to compare eras. I hate that. I hate getting into those debates because it's like, hey, and positions too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're not going to put a center against a point guard and they're going to play each other because the center will probably block every shot. It just wouldn't be fair in the world of basketball. We had a good show, a long show on deck. We got the topics because, hey, I wasn't around the last couple of weeks, but I'll be here coming up now. We'll get to some either announcements or final thoughts about the show. For me, I'll say, hey, don't forget on the bottom line here, we're always talking about the backyard games that are going on May 4th in Eugene, Oregon. C2C will cover hacky sack. What is it called? The sport. Shoot.
Cornhole.
Backyard games, cornhole. There, thank you. At noon Pacific time here on Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Cornhole, among other sports, will be there. And don't forget, April was at 27th, Crispy Bacon. The Oregon Cougar football will be back. The women of the Oregon Cougars will be back on the field, taking on their first opponent. So check out those things on Coast to Coast Network. Things are happening. Big B, I'll get to your final thoughts.
My final thoughts is, just keep checking out. What's today? Sunday. So myself and Tim will be back with C2C Rinkum. I believe Wednesday. I got to talk to him because I got some things I got to take care of on Tuesday. So if we do air, it'll probably most likely be Wednesday. Just check it out. We love doing what we do, ranking certain topics and stuff like that. Just keep checking out C2C all week long. Between the Ropes. Chris, tonight?
Yeah, should be here shortly.
Okay, yep. So tune in and watch Between the Ropes as we break down wrestling this past week and a certain 2-day event that just happened this past week. So have a good day.
Yep.
Crispy Bacon, if you have any final thoughts or announcements.
Great show, everybody. Baseball season's in full swing. Check out Coast to Coast, all of our great shows. Between the Ropes coming up here shortly. So just stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll have a bunch of shows throughout the week. I'm on not really half of them, but most of them. But yeah, keep checking out Coast to Coast and all of the shows. Again, hit the stars on Facebook, like, subscribe, and follow, and comment on our shows. Did we only have that one comment? Chris, Seth Johnson Ford. I want to see him in person if he's real or not, but we'll have to see if that's the case. Thank you for watching On Deck here. We're covering MLB. We'll see you next time on the show. Later, folks.